Hi friends, in this video we are going to look at how to configure a Cisco switch from the scratch step by step. So this is going to be a series of video because I cannot cover all of them in just one video. So look for the rest of the video later on. All right. So let's start. I'm going to use the packet tracer here. This is one of the latest one I downloaded from Cisco Academy. If you go to other, Cisco CCNA, CCNP education, they also use this Cisco Academy packet tracer to practice at home, because you cannot, it's hard to buy the network gear when you are a student. It takes one switch will cost you, if you look at 3650, this is one of the latest switch. It costs you 5-6 grand to buy this switch. So it comes with the latest operating system. So packet tracer is the best way to go to practice on this kind of configuration. All right, so I'm going to use this enterprise switch to do the configuration. So this is a 3650 24 PS. This is a PS mean our switch is a multi-layer switch. So if you click on it, you see this configuration. You can maximize it, and then so if you look at here, so this switch is different than the other switch. This is a modular switch. You see, these are the two slots for power supplies, and these are the fans. So these all are modular fans. This one fails, you just pull this out and replace with a good one. But in the other switches, you have to replace the entire switch. That's a disadvantage. So Cisco made it modular, much easier, from cost perspective, and total cost of ownership is much less. Even though the power supply in other switches, those power supplies are built in. You have to open the casing to look at the power supply. And here, you just take power supply, just push it into the slot, and so here I have two power supplies. So these are redundant power supplies. If one fails, the switch will power up all your devices, so they all can stay on. In just in some cases, if you have a lot of devices using the power PoE, and if one one power supply fails, bunch of devices PoE is going to get denied, because it will exceed the total power supply available from the switch, right? So I will cover this power supply in another video, because there are a lot of every single component, especially this power supply has a lot of you need to understand a lot in the power supply to how to manage this power supply, what kind of power supply you use, all kind of things, right? So I don't want to sidetrack, so I will cover them in a different video. So when you put this power supply, the switch will turn on. So you go to the CLI mode. So switch is already turned on, and then so it's asking you to whether you want to go to the configuration dialog, or you want to go into the CLI. So I'm going to go to the CLI. That's the whole point of this video. All network engineers use CLI configuration. So this this exercise will be very useful if you are you're preparing for CCNA or CCNP. As you know, I am a CCNA, CCNP certified network engineer. All right, so I'm here into the switch, and you put EN means enable. So if you tap, you will get the complete command, right? you always use the first two letters of the command most of the time, and the switch will understand. Unless there's two commands with the same two letters, and you have to enter the third one too, right? So most of the time we do two of them. So EN means enable. So you are in the privilege configuration mode, because there's no password when a switch, when you start a switch from a factory, from a brand new switch from a factory. All right. So if you are in a enabled mode, so I have a document here I'm going to use to configure this switch. And first configuration you do is name the switch, right? If you have a newborn baby, what you do first, you do name them first before you do anything else, right? All right, so okay, you need to have a naming convention to do that. So if you are in an institution, a well-established institution, they already have a naming convention established. If you are starting something from scratch, you need to establish a naming convention, right? So most of the time they put the company name first, ABC Corp, or some abbreviation, ABC, and then S means switch. If it is a router, they put R, and then they put where the switch is installed in the IDF name. That's a marketing, and then and -1 is so this is the IDF name, right? So marketing, say basement B101, right? So where that it's in, right? This is a marketing building B101 and -1 access. So because marketing might have another one B 155 something. So if there's another switch there, it's going to be -2, right? So I'm going to change back to B101-1 access, right? So I copy here. So the nice thing about Cisco is you can copy and paste the configuration, right? Why it's not? So let's do Control-C is copy, and then I go to here, you go to the configuration mode, you type in conf-t, right? Configuration terminal. So that's the abbreviation, right? So conf-t, and then I paste it here. So this is a switch name. So you put the first is host so let's delete, because I should have put the command first. Back host name, one word, host name, and then I copy ABC Corp. And now you see the name here changed, right? So I put exit, means you come out of the configuration mode. So here is the name of the switch, right? So you name the switch. The second one, you configure the management IP. So when you configure the management IPs, sometimes people use VLAN 1 as a management interface. But I would recommend don't use VLAN 1. Most of the companies in this enterprise don't use VLAN 1 because this is very vulnerable for attacks. Because most of the time attackers try to infiltrate VLAN 1 to find out the management IP. So don't use that one. So go to conti interface vlan 1, and then no IP address, and then shut, right? You shut down the interface, right? So that interface is shut down, and now you can exit. So exit will take you the previous configuration, right? The previous step. So that will be the configuration mode. And then so you define, say, VLAN 499 is the one I am choosing, right? So interface VLAN 499, and then I put an IP address here, the management IP, copy, paste, and then exit, right? So you have a management IP now. All right, and then you put a gateway. So the default gateway is essential. Default gateway is essential. The IP, the address of the router. Oh, sorry. The default gateway is essentially the address of the router that the switch will communicate with. So if you look at, the switch need to communicate with the higher level router to get out of that network, right? So without this address, switch cannot communicate with another network, and thus you cannot access the switch remotely from a different network. So the default gateway is very essential, right? So IP default gateway, you have to define this one, copy and paste. All right, so you have defined. So mostly, this is the okay, so this is the address of the, because you see, I have a management IP here, and this is also default gateway I'm putting on the same network. Sometimes you have everything, all your devices on one management network, so your router also on the same segment, but it can be on a different segment too, right? And then so you have a default gateway, so the switch can communicate with the other networks now, and now you assign the password. So you need to protect the exit mode. That's the one you do all the configuration. So that's the highest level of access. You need to protect that using enable secret and a strong password, right? So here I'm going to copy this, and then paste. All right, so I defined that one already, right? And then you need to configure the telnet access, because you are going to access this switch remotely. So these are the telnet session you are going to use to access this switch remotely. Whatever you access, just using a console cable, you have to be next to the switch to access through the console cable. Otherwise, you are going to access through the telnet or SSH session. So we will look at the SSH later, but telnet is not that preferable. SSH is the best, highly secured one, but we can look at SSH later. All right, so because I need to create crypto and other things for an SSH to work, so I'm going to simply use the telnet for now. So VTY line 50, because think about multiple people accessing the switch. It's possible when you are accessing the switch, someone else also can access the switch at the same time. with a different level of access. So there are from 0 to 15 remote connection available for this to for the access, remote access. So let's do this one, and VTY line 0 to 15. Okay, you are entering the VTY mode, and you are protecting this VTY also with the same password, but it can be a different password too. And then you log in and you exit, right? And the same thing with the console. You enter into the console configuration mode, and password, the same password I'm going to use, console, and login, exit, right? And then so you need to tighten the security, right? So you don't want anyone accessing the telnet session from any IP. So you need to have a ACL put in place for this VTY line, so it will allow only those IPs to access the switch through this VTY line. So I'm going to configure a standard IP ACL. So here, paste, and then so these are two subnets that has access. And this is a host. So you see here I put a host here, permit host, and then this. So this looks like a public IP, right? So say if you allow this public IP, say this is one of your vendor you trusted, or this is one of your remote site IP address. Don't give this to vendor, so that's wrong. So say this is one of your remote site, or one of your engineer from a remote site have access, right? So paste, host, permit, exit. All right, now you are going to enter the VTY line mode, and then apply this ACL here. So access list, ACL in, right? So access class, access class, so you have to define that name. Copy, paste. So if you put a question mark, most of the time you will learn this trick. You don't have to remember all the commands. You put the question mark, it will show you what are the commands available after that. So in filtering incoming connection, filtering outgoing connection. So you need to make sure incoming connections are blocked, right? So you put then in, right? All right. And exit, right? So you have this, so initial setup is ready for your switch. So exit, right? And always remember to save the configuration, right? Memory, right? You see, it's already saved. Normally we put W so we put write mem, also same thing, right? So you don't type in the entire thing, write memory. All right, so you have that in the memory, and then always go and look at show run, right? Show run, you see here all the running configuration, and then look at your password. Host name is here, and your enable secret. This enable secret is a level 5 password, is encrypted, always encrypted. So you said enable secret means it will encrypt the password, right? And then look at here, you haven't done any interface config, and look at your VLAN 1 is shut down with no IP address, and then you have here your VLAN 499 that has a MAC address and it has an IP address, and you have a default gateway here, and then look at your ACL is defined here, right? Permit host, ACL, standard telnet access, and then you have your console password is there, and you have there's no aux password I defined. Your VTY line passwords are here. It's divided 0 to 4, 5 to 15. Both are here, and then you have the access list applied to that. So all your configurations, what you did, is already there, right? Hope this video is helpful. Stay tuned for the part 2 and the upcoming videos. All right, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to this video. Thank you. Bye.